Okay. Hey everybody, it's Nicole or Nikki Bricks here, and today we are going to be taking a look at the Justifier set, which just came out August 1st, and is a set that I was really excited to pick up day one. So the Justifier currently retails for $170 US. It used to be $160 until we decided to play around with inflation. So happy Lego got involved with that. Nevertheless, I was really excited to pick this set up because I, for one, am a really big fan of the Bad Batch, and especially with us not really having a specific date, I think we just know that season 2 is coming this autumn. I was really excited for more like content, so being able to build this set was really exciting for me. And I'm sure most of you like day one buyers for this set kind of felt the same way. But a couple of notable things that stand out are the minifigures for one. I was really excited to pick up the exclusive Omega and Cad Bane, and also Fennec with her helmet piece because I cannot stand the hairpiece that comes in the Boba's Palace set. It actually also comes in this set, but at least you get the alternative with the helmet, which is just a really cool design in general, so I was excited to have that. You also get Toto 360, which is really cute. And while we're looking at the front of the box art here, I do gotta say I really like the way that this looks. It's very pretty, and it does show off a nice view of the Justifier flying as opposed to in its landing position. And now looking at the back of the set here, it does again show off some features like the landing gear. You can see inside the cockpit, a little bit of Omega's jail cell, and it is just a really cool set in general. So like always, we are gonna start off this review by taking a look at those minifigures and then looking into the actual build itself. So starting off with our first minifigure here, we have Hunter, who is an amazing figure, albeit the exact same one that we got in the Bad Batch attack shuttle. So there is nothing really new to show off with this guy. He comes with one of his knives, some really nicely printed armor, and of course the helmet, which is just one of my favorite helmets that we've ever gotten. And he does have his bandana wrapped around his forehead there, his like half skull face tattoo, and a second more angry face printing. Next up here we have Cad Bane, who is the minifigure I was probably the most excited to get in this set, as I'm sure most people are. He's got some amazing leg and torso printing, but no arm printing, which does look, I mean, a little bit disappointing. In the Bad Batch, he does have some cool details on his arms, so it would have been nice to have included those on this figure. Nevertheless, he does come with a nice hat, which is different from the hat that the previous Cad Bane minifigure got. And of course, his like breathing tube ventilator piece on his cheeks there. If you take off his hat, you can really see the details in that face printing, which does just look so awesome. I love that blue skin tone, the red eyes, everything is just spot on. Even the shape of his nose, how it's super flat and wide. If it wasn't for that arm printing, this would be a 10 out of 10 minifigure. It's just, that does knock it down a peg or two, but he is still, I mean, he's Cad Bane. Our second exclusive minifigure to this set is Omega, who is looking pretty adorable. She does come with the short legs, so she doesn't really have any posability. And the little prop that she comes with are those little handcuffs there. Now, unlike Cad Bane, she actually did come with arm printing, which is pretty interesting. Nothing crazy, just a couple of red stripes to kind of add some detail to her otherwise plain-looking outfit. But without the red, it would have looked incorrect, so I am glad that they did go the extra mile, at least for her. She does actually come with the Harry Potter hairpiece just in a blonde color. And also a second face printing on this side. She's got that more frustrated, determined look to her. I really wish that this minifigure had come a lot sooner than it did, but I was wondering if we were gonna get her at all, so I'm happy that we finally have her. Now next up we have Fennec, who I'm loving with this helmet. I kid you not, guys, I really despised the hairpiece that she comes with. And I'm just so glad that I had the alternative. I was not gonna buy Moff Gideon's shuttle just to get this helmet, so I was just so grateful to know that she was coming in this set. Fennec does have amazing torso and leg printing and some good details on her arms as well. Some pretty good back printing also. She does come with a blaster, and if you take off her helmet, you can see she does have a very Fennec looking face, as well as a more smirky Fennec on the back. And as I said before, she does also come with the hairpiece, which just in my opinion is so bulky and large. Doesn't come with the orange threading that she kind of ties into her braids there. It just looks super bizarre. And I've been trying to see if I can make an alternative hairpiece for her because that just does not work. But again, if you've got the helmet, I mean, it's kind of too cool not to have her wearing that. So our final figure here is Todo 360. i.e. Cad Bane's little friend slash assistant, who he does seem to have some sort of kind of cutesy relationship with. I actually think they did a really good job with his sort of form here. I do wish he had come with minifigure hands, which, yes, probably would have been just a little bit too big for his body, but at the very least, he would have been able to hold the briefcase that he does come with, and I suppose you could have Fennec or Cad holding it. But personally, I mean, what with him being the one that kind of drops everything, letting all those credits fall down to the abyss, it would have been nice if he could have been at least the one to carry them. But it is cool to finally have another droid buddy in our Star Wars collection. So now the Justifier itself is literally massive. This thing is a behemoth. It doesn't even fit on my bookshelf unless I have it in flight mode. So I will attach a separate clip to show you guys kind of the different ways that you can pose this. What is really cool is that LEGO has you design this whole Technic base on the interior that allows you to fold up the engine like you would if the ship was going into flight mode, and it pulls up the landing gear as you do so. And it's actually, one, it's really useful. Two, it's totally awesome because, like, as a playability feature, you have to really appreciate the fact that a kid can, like, pick up the ship, pull the engine up like it's taking off, and the landing gear will automatically go up with it and fold into the wings, just like it would in, you know, Star Wars. I just honestly really appreciate the fact that that's what LEGO did, and I didn't even realize what it was as I was building it. I tend to kind of zone out when I'm doing Technic. It is just, it's not my thing. So I don't even remember like all the inner workings that went on with that, but it is seriously cool. That being said, for the remainder of this review, I am gonna fold up the engine and show off the ship like this because it's much easier to move around. So now starting off with the cockpit, one cool thing you can do is take off the roof piece so that you can get a look inside. It does not unfortunately come with any hinge pieces, so it does not stay attached and allow you to lift and lower it, but it does allow you to see into the cockpit. Now another unfortunate thing that LEGO did here though is they do have you put stickers over these window pieces, which, I mean, in one way is really cool because it allows you to see inside. If you have Cad Bane in there, you can actually see a little bit of his blue face and the red eyes kind of popping through. But it does, however, mean that if you have trouble applying stickers, which normally I don't, but I did apply this one backwards, I think. Luckily, they look really similar, so it's not like a huge difference. But technically my window stickers are supposed to be flipped. I highly recommend using like the end of your brick separator, for example, to apply these, because if you put it on and make a mistake and try to pull it off, the lines on your fingerprint are going to stay on the sticker and you will be able to see it for, you know, the rest of eternity, and that's not really fun. I do honestly wish that those were included as printed pieces, but that's just not what we got. This feature, however, does allow us to look into the cockpit, which is really nice. We have this really cool kind of brown leather looking seat where Cad Bane can sit. He fits in there with his hat and everything if you put the roof back on. And if you look in the back, there is a laser jail cell for Omega to be shoved back into. She fits in there with her handcuffs and everything. And you can even have Todo 360 perched outside of her jail cell. Now it is a really tight space, so it is kind of hard for any adult, I think, to, maybe even a kid, to move around the minifigures back there. So what is nice is that you can pull out that laser jail cell just to give you a little bit more room. If you notice, you do also have a couple of brown bins back there for some extra cargo, like thermal detonators. So moving on to the wings, I honestly think that the shape of these is fantastic. I did like a side-by-side comparison of a picture of the Justifier in the Bad Batch and this set, just kind of analyzing the general shape, the size of it, and it's pretty spot on. There are a couple of engine pieces slash thrusters on the side. You can see here you have a flick fire missile, just a couple of extra blaster cannons, and if you turn the set you can see that there are also some of those blue transparent thruster pieces. What is also really cool is that you can actually open up these wings here. And this is like the coolest thing LEGO has done. I don't have another ship that has one of these. But like always, you get a couple of extra flick fire missiles to replace the ones that you inevitably shoot off and lose. And for the Justifier, LEGO actually puts these extra clicker pieces. I should eventually really learn the proper names for these things. But it allows you to store your extra flick fire missiles inside. There's also a hole here where you can see the landing gear pulls up into. Just another really cool feature, I think. Now moving around to the thrusters on the back. Oh, I so wish I caught that on camera. I literally just shot a minifigure down with like perfect aim, accidentally. So the thrusters on the back also look really great. I've always been a really big fan of the transparent blue thrusters look. It's perfect for Star Wars ships. They just look so cool. Again, you can see one of the landing gear pieces here and just like a back view of what this looks like when you pull the ship down. But another thing that I did want to point out is this highly illegal building technique, which I don't know if since Lego has done that, it makes it not illegal. That's kind of what I think, but I was fascinated when I turned my instruction page and I saw that Lego had you line these up between the studs. I kind of want to show you. I don't know, this might be really frustrating to do. So you have one of these tile pieces and you can see the gap where the studs are. And like any normal, Lego builder would think, well, any piece like that has to go on flat. It has to click onto the studs in the correct way and not like I just displayed. But Lego just has you slide this little guy right in between the studs, and surprisingly, it just like clicks right into place, and you can adjust it a little bit so it's a little bit less crooked, but it was interesting. And so that is what Lego has you do for the top part of the engine piece there. So the rest of the back of the ship does look very good. You can see there's a couple more details, like on top here they have you just have some like exposed pieces on top of the ship, which is really cool. There's some ventilation on the top here, possibly. I don't really know what else that could be. One thing that, doesn't work very well for a lot of people though, is that when you put the engine piece down, you need room for this Technic piece here to move around. So unfortunately, there is a big gap in the middle of the ship, which in all honesty does not look the best, but it does just kind of allow for you to move the engine piece up and down without anything getting in the way or having to remove any extra parts. Which is something I've always really disliked about having like alternative posabilities when you have to adjust the pieces. So there is a big hole in the middle of Cad Bane's ship that should not be there, if we're being honest. So in that sense, this is not the most accurate build. However, I think that having the option for that posability defeats, my desire to have that little hole filled, especially because up on my shelf, I'm not going to see it. And I know that's not a trade-off that anyone wants to hear, but just in truth, it matters to me more that I can move this landing gear up like that in flight mode because it looks awesome. And if it bugs you that much, someone out there also had the same issue with it and figured out a way to cover it, and I'm sure you can find that video on YouTube. Another thing that I did neglect to show in this review is that you can also lower the landing or loading area, which I have very poor visibility for. But if you wanted to load or unload some cargo, you could pull down this little flap where I normally have stored this extra little bit of cargo that comes with this build. That is literally the only thing that will fit back there. So this extra little side build that you get is just kind of some extra cargo, a little bit of storage. This is honestly where I just keep the extra thermal detonators. I stick the lightsaber in there. And it adds a little something to your set, but it's something that, either gets thrown into my extra pieces scrap pile, or I just shove into the cargo hold in the back. Probably what I'll do for this one. But essentially, that is it, you guys. That is the entirety of this review. I gotta say, I know it's expensive. I would recommend that you wait for it to go on sale, but this is a set that I would not miss out on buying. It is one of my favorite Star Wars builds. Do I say that after every video? I hope I don't. I think that the size of this set really makes up for the fact that you don't get a lot of pieces for what you're paying for, which is, I know, something that a lot of people really care about. But for one, I think the design of this is seriously spot on. It is a very accurate representation of the ship in the Clone Wars TV show, which is something that really matters to me. And honestly, I think that this is a set worth getting if you're a big Star Wars fan, if you're a big Bad Batch fan, if you love Cad Bane. But again, that is it for this review. If you did enjoy it, please don't forget to like. It means the world to me. Subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you next time.